On the international front, Russia is battling the world's second largest number of COVID-19 cases. For more on the situation in that country, I have on the line Oh Sung-hwan, the Consul General of Korea in Vladivostok. Hello, Mr. Oh.
Good afternoon.
Let's begin with the latest in Russia. Why has there been such a dramatic surge in the number of cases there?
As of today, Russia has 290,000 cases, ranking second in the world. Since the beginning of May, about 10,000 new cases has been registered daily. But from a couple of days ago, there are good signals that epidemic is stabilizing. Of course, there is big difference between western part of Russia and its far east. Currently, Moscow has about 146,000 confirmed cases, while Primorye province has 1,400 cases. When coronavirus broke out at the early stage, the preventive measures taken by Russia were regarded as successful. However, the coronavirus infection began to spread rapidly in early April. So I think that one of the convincing reasons is the Russians who returned back from the Western Europe, where pandemic was widely spreading. For your reference, the Russian government attribute the increase of confirmed cases to the fact that Russia has conducted extensive testing.
I see. Mr. Oh, given the reality there in Russia right now, I'm assuming its healthcare system is being stretched to its limits. This is the case, of course, worldwide as well. Does Russia have the capacity to respond to this health crisis on its own?
Russia had more time for preparation against coronavirus than other countries, as it is directly bordered by China. And coronavirus infection in the western part of Russia began to spread later than in the Western Europe. So Russia managed to increase substantially medical equipment and supplies more than ever by concentrating and mobilizing industrial resources. But it's still not enough compared to what is required now. When it comes to local governments of Russia, I think their situation might be more or less similar to Moscow.
I understand, Mr. Oh, that local authorities in Russia's far east region of Primorsky Krai have placed an order for Korean test kits. Now, would this be the first such purchase of kits from abroad?
Recently, the Primorye government has shown strong interest in Korean test kits in response to requests by Primorye. The Consul General in Vladivostok has closely worked with Primorye by giving all necessary information, such as the list of Korean test kit producers. And just yesterday, I got information that Primorye imported almost 4,000 Korean coronavirus test kits and delivered them to 18 Primorye medical institutions. The main reason why Primorye chose Korea test kits is that it highly values Korea as a successful model for coronavirus prevention and high standards of technology and high quality of Korean medical products. In addition, the citizens of Primorye have a good feeling towards Korea. Primorye is the nearest Russian province from Korea. Last year, 300,000 Koreans visited Primorye, which represent 38% of foreign visitors and contributed greatly to the economy of Primorye. So it's like virtuous circle. The friendly feeling to Korea leads naturally to the high evaluation for Korean disease control, and eventually it facilitated Primorye to import Korean test kits.
So I'm assuming, Mr. Oh, that Russia's assessment of Korea's containment efforts are quite favorable then?
Yeah. So it's clear that Russia highly regards Korea's disease control measures. It is proved not only in words, but also in practice by importing Korean test kits. In Russia, it seems that testing scale is more important than confirmed cases. Actually, the death rate of Russia is lowest one in the world, 0.9%. In Russia, it's believed that the low death toll is due to the large scale of testing from the early stage. It shows that both Korea and Russia surprisingly have something in common in this regard.
Mr. Oh, it's also been reported that Russian and Chinese leaders have vowed to boost bilateral cooperation in combating COVID-19. Please tell us a bit more about that.
8th of May, on the eve of 75th anniversary of victory, President Putin spoke on the phone not only with President Xi Jinping, but also another leaders to discuss the global fight against coronavirus. He also talked with President Trump about bilateral cooperation related to the coronavirus. In short, human society shares common interest in the coronavirus issue. So there are two aspects. On the one hand, there is a need to resolve through international cooperation. And on the other hand, each country needs to protect its own citizens as a top priority. So this issue has two-sided nature. Russia, for example, when the first outbreak of coronavirus occurred in China, shut down its border with China earlier than other countries. However, China is now providing medical assistance such as face masks to Primorye. The point is that we should enhance regional cooperation against coronavirus among two Koreas, Russia and China, as neighboring countries in the Northeast Asia, if we really want to protect our citizens.
All right, Mr. Oh, thank you very much for making the time and for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you. Stay strong.